Birdland Tonight is your place for Orioles post-game coverage for fans by fans. All of the hosts on Birdland Tonight are Oriole fans that are either writing blogs or doing podcasts about Orioles. Head on over to birdlandtonight.com to learn more about the hosts and other shows and websites that they're a part of. And head on over to Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch and subscribe, follow, or like, whatever the appropriate thing is, to Birdland Sports. Finally, share, retweet, and tell your friends about Birdland Tonight so that we're all joined into the conversation after every Orioles game this year. We'll see you guys in just a couple minutes. Head on over to the comment sections on Facebook and Twitch and YouTube to start interacting now. We'll see you soon. Did you know Birdland Tonight is also a podcast? Head on over to your favorite podcast app and subscribe to Birdland Tonight to get the audio of this show every morning ready for your commute. Thanks for joining us. We'll get started in just 1 minute. Make sure that you have subscribed to us on your favorite social media. Look up Birdland Sports on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. Like, follow, retweet, share. See you in a moment.
Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, guys, welcome to another post-game show for the Orioles. Unfortunately, we've got some bad news. The Orioles dropped one to the New York Mets. The second game of a two-game series. The Orioles lose a score of 1-7 to the New York Mets. Matt Harvey gets tagged with the loss. He is now dropped down to a record of 3-3, sitting, at a nice 500 pace. I wish the Orioles we're anywhere close to a 500 mark. It seems that we are getting farther and farther from a chance of being a 500 team. More on that later. Let's talk a little bit about today's game. Fortunately for me, lo and behold, I'm in the office, and some other Marylanders down here in Texas actually had the game on the big screen TVs, and so out of the corner of my eye with closed captionings on, I was able to catch a little bit of the game. So that was a lot of fun. Um, yeah, and so and as the closed captionings kept referring to him as Taiwan Walker, as opposed to Tawan Walker, had an incredible game. Was pitched extraordinarily well, and for a team like the Orioles, who has been struggling offensively, that was just not a great formula. Real quick, let's just kind of run down today's starting lineup for the Orioles and the Mets. We saw Cedric Mullins out in center field, Austin Hayes in right field. And we heard a little bit last night about why Austin Hayes was playing right field as opposed to left field. And that's because right field up at Citi Field where the New York Mets play is much larger, and you need somebody a little bit more athletic. So we saw Austin Hayes playing right field. We saw Trey Mancini playing first base. This has kind of been almost our starting three, our 1-2-3, Mullins, Hayes, Mancini for the past few weeks now. I'm curious what you guys think about that. How well is that working? Well, let's kind of look at it. It's not working all that well. These guys are our three best players, but does that mean necessarily that they need to be 1-2-3 in the lineup? Is it set in stone that Mullins is our leadoff hitter? Does it make sense maybe to switch that up a little bit with Austin Hayes, or as Manager Hyde likes to refer to him as Action Austin? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if Hyde decides to shuffle things up a little bit. We're looking a bit stale, but after the 1-2-3 punch of Mullins, Hayes, and Mancini, we see Mountcastle, who has played in left field today. Freddie Galvis batting in that 5 spot, playing shortstop. Michael Franco manning third base. We see Rio Ruiz playing second base. That's almost kind of a matchup, as we saw Taiwan Walker, a right-handed pitcher. Therefore, between Ramon Urias, a righty, and Rio Ruiz, a lefty, we see Ruiz get the start at second base. And then it was, I guess, every third or fourth day behind the plate. So instead of Pedro Severino, we see Chance Sisco. And of course, Chance Sisco also a lefty, so maybe that makes a little bit more sense. But I don't know if it really matters these days. We're going to talk about the catching position here in a bit. And then Matt Harvey, the Dark Knight, and making his return. Hopefully you guys got a chance to listen to my pregame show and a little bit of background on Matt Harvey and his experience with the New York Mets. It seems like he got a great ovation from the fans there when he got up to the plate, had a round of applause when he left the mound, unfortunately, a bit early in the fourth. Actually, that was in the fifth when he got pulled from the game after 4 1/3 innings. But yeah, class act by the Mets fans, no booing or anything like that. I know he had kind of a checkered past with the New York Mets, but the fans out there seem to appreciate his return and appreciate him as, doing what he is at this point in time after the different setbacks that Matt Harvey has had. So that was nice to see, tip the hat to the New York Mets fans. On the speaking of the Mets, their lineup included former Oriole, 2019 Oriole, who the Orioles, if anybody cares to remember, was obtained in a trade with the Detroit Tigers in exchange for, or it might have been the Twins, for Jonathan Scope. I think it was with the Twins. We gave away Jonathan Scope and got back Jonathan Villar as well as some draft picks. Fun little fact, if memory serves, and it usually does not, but I think that Jonathan Villar is the last Oriole to hit for the cycle, something that was done back in 2019, which was fun to watch. One of the few little things. So Jonathan Villar, I'm getting off track, leading off the lineup for the Mets, followed by Francisco Lindor playing shortstop tonight, Michael Conforto playing right field, Pete Alonso playing first base, left field manned by Dominique Smith, Kevin Pillar playing center field tonight. The Met center fielder Alberto Lamora taking the day off, or actually going on the IL after just a full-on crash into the center field wall last night, chasing down an Austin Hayes triple. That looked like it could be ugly. Hopefully it's not going to be too bad or too long for Elmore to be out, but we'll see there. Then we had Jose Peraza playing second base, Tomas Nido catching, and again, as my TV closed captioning put it, Taiwan Walker. Now, it's interesting when we look at kind of, and I like doing this just because the Orioles, again, I don't like saying this because I think that the whole process is skewed, but again, the Orioles are rebuilding. And really another way to put that is the Orioles are not spending any money unless they have to. When you look at kind of the active 26-man roster, again, removing Chris Davis because he is on a 60-day IL, when you look at our active 26-man roster, we're at $22 million. The New York Mets, on the other hand, are at $128 million. So well over $100 million in payroll. That just kind of, and again, that tells you something. That tells you a little bit about where the organizations are compared to each other. And it tells you a little bit about the quality of players where, we sit here and we gripe because we don't have a second catcher. We don't have a second baseman. Our third base and shortstop are kind of $1 million rentals as opposed to kind of, quality players that we've kind of locked down. We gave up Jose Iglesias, who played so well last year. Now, again, looking at his stats this year, maybe that wasn't a horrible move, but again, the Orioles definitely going the cheaper route. So that's kind of what you get when, we're up and playing these types of teams. There is going to be an imbalance. We were lucky last night, not lucky, but John Means is an exceptional pitcher and threw an incredible game last night. We were able to keep it really close up into the ninth. But look, even into the bullpen, it's not like we have any type of $1 million arms. These are all guys under team control. The guys like Paul Fry, Travis Lakin Sr., Cesar Valdez, Tanner Scott. None of these guys, I think, are even arbitration eligible. They haven't hit that 1 year mark. So that's just where we're at as a team. That's going to improve as these guys get better and next year, moves into the year after that. But something to just kind of note. We did see, unfortunately, Matt Harvey's ERA popped up almost a full figure, going from 3.6 to, I think, like a 4.8. So we saw him tagged with all 7 runs of the Orioles, and I'm not exactly sure what Taiwan Walker's ERA comes out to, but given that the Orioles didn't score it all, I'm sure it lowered probably right around to the 2 area. He started out the day at 2.38. So before the game started, we did a little bit of a pregame show where I talked about Matt Harvey, where he came from, and kind of hit Mets and his injuries that he's had, his comebacks, and where he's at today. And there were 3 keys that I thought the Orioles needed to really hit on in order to have a chance today. One was hit the ball. This is obvious because we haven't been doing it. We needed to hit. We needed to have more hits than strikeouts. One of the hosts on the show, Josh Soroka, this is something he picked on early on, that oftentimes we had more strikeouts than hits. I can say that looking at the box score today, unless anything has changed, we had exactly the same. So we had 5 hits and 5 strikeouts. That is not a winning combination. And you know what? The second key to the game was, look, if you're not going to have a lot of the hits, you need to play some small ball. Just like we saw last night, where if you're not going to hit the ball a lot, you need to hit the ball smart. And we saw that a little bit last night. We didn't really see that today. Look, I'm not going to count Chance Sisco's soft ground ball to first base to score an RBI. That's not small ball. That's just, Orioles baseball this week. So I don't know what it's going to take to get out of the slump. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. And then the third key of the game is that Harvey needed to give us 6. We needed to be competitive. In my mind, hey, if you can keep us to 3 to 4 runs to the 6th, that's where we needed to be. Give us a chance. But Harvey was just kind of knocked out, kind of a death by base hits. Didn't give up the long ball, but I don't even know if he gave up that many extra base hits. Let's see here. Nope, there was a triple to deep center. That one was kind of ugly in the second. Single. There was a double in the 5th by Dominic Smith. And Infield single, yeah. Everything, it was death by singles. So when we look at it, did we hit the ball? No. Runners in scoring position, the Orioles were 0 for a lot, at least 0 for 9. Let's see here. Nope, 0 for 9. That's where we left it. Left on base 8. And yeah, so we didn't hit on any of the keys, and thus, we only scored 1 run. That's where we're at. But let's just kind of walk through this real quick for everybody that's listening as a podcast, that's listening to this from yesterday. Here's where we're at. Oh, hold on. A few comments here. I think it's more than that. Mountcastle can't DH, and he's only played left field. Good point. Yeah. It would have been interesting. I don't think you were going to play DJ Stewart. I think right now Mountcastle is a lot hotter than DJ Stewart, but you're right. Mountcastle has never played right field. He's only played left field, so that makes sense. And Pocket Watch, love that you're doing this from your office. Thanks. Taking a little lunch break. I've got some spreadsheets, and here we go. Little coffee break as we get a little bit. And the Brewers got Scope, Jonathan Scope. I'm not sure if the Brewers. Is that who he made the original trade with, or is that who Scope ended up going to later in the year? I can't remember, but thanks for bringing that up. Let's see here. So let's kind of run through kind of the offensive performance of the Orioles today, because it did get ugly. But honestly, we had our best chance was probably the first inning, where unfortunately Mullins did not get on base, but Austin Hayes had a monster flyout. So we saw, I think Mullins actually struck out, but Austin Hayes hit a monster flyout to deep left center, if I remember correctly, because the left fielder and the center fielder almost collided. It was almost a repeat of last night. Good to see that Austin's kind of getting some length on the ball. I wonder if that ball would have been out. Probably would have been out in Camden Yards. But right after that, we saw Trey just absolutely crush a double to deep right. And so we had Trey on base in scoring position. It was 2 outs, and then Mountcastle just kind of dribbled one to the pitcher. That was it for the first inning. The second inning, we saw 2 on base after Michael Franco and Rio Ruiz both walked. But with just 1 out, Chance Sisco lined out, and then up comes Matt Harvey, who strikes out, and really on a questionable strike 3, I thought, that was framed very well by the Mets catcher, but in my opinion, looked to be pretty far outside, but just kind of set the tone, really. And here's where we know that it went downhill. When you look at what happened in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th inning, it was 1, 2, 3 up, down. There was nothing, no hits, no walks. It was strikeouts, groundouts, flyouts, 1, 2, 3. Nothing. Didn't get any base runners. Now in the 6th, we finally see Mullins get a hit on a single to center field, and then unfortunately a flyout by Austin Hayes. Mancini reaches on a single to third, an infield single, but then we see that Mountcastle hits into a double play. Not the best start for Ryan Mountcastle today. In the 7th inning, after a walk to Freddie Galvis and a line out by Michael Franco, we saw Ruiz get a decent hit. That was nice because it allowed Freddie to get a nice hustle to third. And that's when the Orioles got their only run. So with runners on first and third, we saw Chance Sisco. And again, this isn't small ball. This isn't heads up play by Chance Sisco. This is just a weakly hit pulled ball to first base that, with only 1 out, allowed Freddie Galvis to score from third. It is what it is. It was a run. Shortly after that, the Orioles got out. And that brings us into the 8th, where we had an interesting opportunity. We saw Mullins get a walk and get on first. And then I don't know how else to describe it other than a sand wedge by Austin Hayes that just kind of plops over the pitcher's head and lands right between the mound and second base. So, nice little bit of a short game by Austin Hayes. But hey, that gives us runners on second and third. And no outs. So really, really nice kind of opportunity. Mancini, does an okay job, moves the guys around and avoids the double play on kind of a weak infield single. But then we have one out, and the guys on second and third. So great scoring opportunity. Now Mullins, sitting on third, maybe he's a little gun shy after last night and losing in that rundown battle. But when Mountcastle gets up to the plate and hits a soft single, Mullins just kind of freezes there, and in this situation, being down by 6, it would have been nice to see Mullins maybe, take a risk, take a run for it. I'm not sure really what we have to lose, but he kind of stayed there, pat on third, and Mountcastle was out at first. So again, we still have runners on second and third, and now we have 2 outs. Freddie Galvis comes up to the plate, actually has a great at bat, works the count full. And then, is able to kind of work a walk, and the bases are loaded. So at this point in time, the Orioles are down 7-1, still need 6 runs, but the bases are loaded. And in comes Michael Franco, ready to be enshrined into Orioles lore. Steps up to the plate. There was a brief mound visit. I actually thought that for sure the Mets were going to kind of pull, whoever they had on the mound. It looks like no, just kind of get in there and gave him a pep talk. And I apologize, I can't remember who was on the mound at the time, but they first pitch, and Franco is swinging. Here it comes, and unfortunately, it was kind of just a soft liner into the glove of Jose Pereza at second base. So that was the 8th inning. Bases loaded, kind of an opportunity to make a real dent and make this game competitive, and we just couldn't do anything. And that's really been the story of the Orioles for the past few weeks now. The 9th inning was nothing but a flyout by Ruiz, which was contagious because Chance Sisco did the same thing. Flew out again, and then we saw Pat Valaika get strike 3 swinging. So that was it. That was the end of the game. That's where we're at. Let's see here. Anybody have any comments? I've just been kind of reading my notes. Yeah, Villar was a Brewer, and that's where we got him, Villar for Scope. So I appreciate the clarification there. I think we got somebody else in that trade as well. It'd be interesting to see if that was somebody that's where they're at in the minor league system so far. So let's kind of look at some of the things that from this game. Look, Chance Sisco. I think everybody has seen the question that everybody wants to ask, right? The catching position. Everybody wants to wait. When are we going to see Austin Wynns, right? Yeah, you guys all, I'm sure everybody was waiting for, when are we going to see Adley Rutschman? We're not going to see Adley Rutschman. Quit thinking that you're going to see Adley Rutschman. To be quite honest, I don't think we're going to be seeing Adley Rutschman at all this year. By no means does Mike Elias, again, want our prospect, our number 1 prospect, the franchise. By no means does he want to start his service clock this year. 0 chance. This will be the last chance of service manipulation, most likely, where it's technically allowed or you can get away with it, because that's going to be heavily addressed in the next collective bargaining agreement. That doesn't happen until December. So 0 chance you're going to see Adley Rutschman. I don't care how well he plays down in Bowie. They're going to make him stay up in AAA Norfolk if they have to, where they're going to say that he needs to work on, learning 4 more positions before they call him up. That's just the way it is. But you know what? Austin Wynns, I think, deserves another shot. He's had limited time, but when you look at the time that he's had in the majors, he's carrying something like a 240 batting average. Hey, I would take that in a heartbeat right now over what we're getting from Chance Sisco. Let Austin Wynns come up and play a little bit. What does it matter? What are you losing? I have no idea why they're currently, unless this analytics piece is being pushed so heavily by Hyde in the organization that you have to have a righty and a lefty catcher. It doesn't make sense to me. So let Austin kind of come up and, give Pedro the breather, once or twice a week. I think that's one of the things that we as fans, desperately want to see is, the organization just kind of, trying something, make a change. We're in a bit of a rut. We lost 3 to the Red Sox. We now lost 2 to the Mets. We now got to go home and face the Yankees and the Rays at home, where we have not been playing well. So that's kind of where we're at. Now, we did see Keegan Aiken come in from the bullpen today. And it was a bit odd for me, from my perspective, because I'm wondering, the bullpen is just not his, we've never thought of Keegan Aiken as a bullpen guy. He came in, pitched 1 clean inning, got 2 strikeouts. But look, when the season was about to start, when we were all kind of scribbling in, what we thought was going to be the starting rotation, we'd all just assumed that there was going to be John Means at number 1. And then it was going to be some form of Keegan Aiken and Dean Kramer as 2 and 3. And then 4 and 5 was going to be made up of, Wade LeBlanc, Matt Harvey, and one of these, possibly Felix Hernandez, but, kind of a mix of these veterans that we had brought in. Lo and behold, as we all found out, Felix Hernandez kind of got injured a little bit, was never able to feel healthy enough. Wade LeBlanc, I won't say was a disaster, but it just really didn't work out. He was an okay middle relief guy, but definitely not didn't have starting stuff anymore. Not only that, Bruce Zimmerman, absolutely made a case for himself of being in that starting rotation out of spring training, pitched, extraordinarily well. He's had a rocky go of it this year, a bit up and down. And actually, I think he got sent down, similar to the way that Dean Kramer was sit down. He's currently carrying a 5.4 ERA. But, when we look at Dean Kramer's carrying a 6.2 ERA. They both kind of have, 3 losses. I think the only difference between Bruce Zimmerman actually has 1 win. It's interesting. They both have given up 18 earned runs. Bruce Zimmerman pitched about 30 innings, and Dean Kramer has pitched about 26 innings. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there, and how that, are we going to see Keegan Aiken move back into a starting role? The guy that I've been talking about, and I'm curious to get your guys' opinion, is what do you guys think of Tyler Wells? Is Tyler Wells, does he look like the kind of guy that might have the stuff as a starting rotation guy? I get that he has a baby face and he looks like he's an angry toddler out there, but I really like his stuff. I like how aggressive he is. I feel like he has the potential to start some games and do well. Curious if anybody in the chat has thoughts on that. What else do we got here? Again, we've covered this on and on again. Everybody, I know all of us Orioles fans that are diehards, we keep checking the box scores of the Norfolk Tides and the Bowie Bay Sox to see, hey, which infielder is playing well enough that might get called up? Is it going to be Ryland Bannon? Here's what I don't understand as well. What is the affinity for Ramon Urias or Rio Ruiz? I get it that you, with Ramon, you can play shortstop or second base, and with Rio, we're finding out he can play both third base and second. I don't see why you don't bring up Richie Martin to give a shot at playing either, as a Ramon Urias type replacement, because we know can play shortstop, and I assume he can play second base as well. He played all of 2019. I know he had a horrible bat most of that time, but towards the end of the year, I thought actually he kind of turned it around and was hitting the ball exceptionally well. He did have that injury when he was playing in the Dominican Summer League, broke his hand. I think actually had some issues last year, sat out all of 2020 with an injury as well. I think it was a broken wrist when he slid back into first base. But hey, look, if he's playing well, why not call up Richie Martin? I don't think that we're going to see guys like Ryland Bannon get called up. But another guy that I think might have a chance is Stevie Wilkerson. Stevie Wilkerson's doing extremely well. I say extremely well. Minor league baseball has been going on for about a week or so. But Stevie Wilkerson, who got some decent playing time with the Major League Club during spring training, I think if he continues to play well, they'll give him a shot to come up and play second base. Again, 2019 was one of those wacky years where he was thrust into a position that he just was learning on the fly, being center field, but played it serviceably. And that's what you want in kind of these guys that are going to come up, is the flexibility to be utility guys. Stevie Wilkerson can be that. So I don't know. I'm just I need something to happen. I don't care if they're almost the same. From a performance standpoint, at least I want to see that you're trying, that you're experimenting and seeing what you have. And Richie Martin, Stevie Wilkerson. Again, I don't think that they're going to call up Rylan Bannon, but one of those two guys. And why not call up Austin Wynns? He's had some playing time before, and I think it would be interesting to see, how well he does comparing. It could be at some point in time, we'll need a backup for Adley Rutschman. Is it going to be Pedro Severino? He's already in his first year of arbitration and got paid a pretty hefty amount. I don't think that, he's probably going to be long for the Orioles organization. You're going to need somebody to be that every, third, fourth day catcher. And maybe it could be Austin Wynns. I definitely don't think that it's Chance Sisco. And I think Pedro Severino has probably aged himself out a little bit. Well, that's all I have for today's episode of Birdland Sports. And once again, I forgot to take a pause, but if you did hear a break for our advertisers, feel free to go in there and I tell you what you need to do. At least go back in and subscribe to the podcast, rate and review it if you would. That would be a lot of fun. Pocket Watch, I appreciate your support. Great show. Hey, you guys, thanks for tuning in. It's been a lot of fun, and unfortunately, it would have been a little bit nice if we had a win. But you know what? We've got an off day tomorrow, and then we have, in my opinion, a pretty important series coming up with the New York Yankees and the Tampa Bay Rays. Finally, we get to see the Rays. We've seen nothing but the Yankees and Red Sox so far this year. Let's just kind of take a peek at what's coming up in from a scheduling perspective. Again, tomorrow off, and then we have a 3-game series, 2 7:00 games, and then we have a 1:00 game versus the New York Yankees, and then our first taste of the Rays. So the Tampa Bay Rays, who have been kind of in the middle of the pack, nobody has taken on Red Sox as they've been leading the AL East, but the Tampa Bay Rays have been kind of competitive and have been staying around that 500 mark. I haven't updated I think they were sitting at 19 and 17, so they're 2 games above 500, but behind the Red Sox, behind the Yankees. But they're going to come in. We're going to see what they've got. I think that everybody talks about the Orioles. We've been playing such a tough schedule. I don't know if playing the Rays is really going to give us much of a respite. They're a pretty good organization as well. It'll be fun. After that, we play a little bit more National League Baseball as we, play our, maybe our National League rivals, I guess. The Washington Nationals, we play them at Nationals Park. So that's going to be, fun. That's going to be on the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd of May. And then we go for a bit of a Midwest road trip. We're out to Minneapolis to play the Twins for a 3-game series, followed by a 4-game series against the White Sox. So that pretty much gives us, the rest of the month of May. Nothing easy by any chance. I mean, the White Sox, they were kind of picked to finish, at the top of their division. I have no idea, to be quite honest, how the Twins have been doing this year. The Nats, I know, were out to a pretty much of a slow start, but have played a little bit better lately. I'm sure the guys down in you guys that are out in Maryland have a better idea of how well the Nationals are doing, but never too much fun when you have to face Juan Soto. But I am looking forward. I love watching Juan Soto. He's such a fun guy to watch, and even being able to watch Max Scherzer. I'm kind of hoping that he doesn't pitch against us, but at the same time, I like watching him. I like watching how aggressive and fun he is when he's pitching. But that's what we've got on the slate. So no game tomorrow. But check back in for the weekend. I'll probably be on here Friday night to cover one of the 2 Yankees games. So you guys be sure to tune in again. I appreciate it. Thanks for joining. Have a good one.